I am with Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a food and wine sommelier of the year. The group includes Where We Are, Church Key, downstairs is Birch and Barley, of course, Blue Jacket Brewery, down by Nats Park. Greg, it is always good to see you.
You as well.
And oh, look what time of year it is. Hopslam has arrived. I stole your thunder and didn't ask you what's on tap this week.
Yeah, you can see what it is. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. A little bit early, I think, too, as I recall.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks. February before.
Yeah. So we got a little bit early this year, which is great. And I mean, we can, I'm sure the arguments will begin about whether it's as good as last year and all that stuff, but it tastes pretty good to me. I think, though, what's interesting is that, it still generates a ton of buzz. It's still a great liquid, and it is the only beer, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have now done twice.
This is very unique. This is the first beer of the week ever to repeat. However, the first Hopslam was in a bottle.
That's right. This is can, and it's been 5 years, literally. So I think it's a good time to return to it. So let's have a little taste of this big Imperial IPA. One of the first, and I'll talk more about that really cool story.
I think it tastes just fine
Yeah,
this year. I had some before we started, and that was the first I'd had. And, you might think I would, but I don't get into reading all the blogs about, people just love to moan and whine. But I saw someone say that they thought it was a good vintage, for a lack of a better word, this year. Smoother finish, or someone at work told me that, but nice.
It tastes great.
I'm going to sample it a few times.
Yeah, just to make sure it's consistent.
Yeah, yes.
So, a 10% Imperial IPA, they hop it with 6 different Pacific Northwest hops, and then they dry hop it heavily with Simcoe. It is brewed with some local Michigan honey from the Hanar Apiary, and that honey is important for this beer. I mean, I think that what's cool about this is it's got hop character and bitterness, but it's not bone dry. I mean, there's sweetness here from the alcohol. There's a little bit of a honeyed sweetness in the finish. Clearly a fermentation character going on with the hop character. The nose kind of gives it a round, sweeter fruit character. It's a little bit earthy. But one of the reasons I wanted to drink this again, the first was just to drink it again, but second was there is a really cool kind of multi-layered connection for Hopslam and Bell's and DC. So, Larry Bell, first of all, who started Bell's Brewing Company in the mid-'80s, went to George Washington University and famously talks about how he used to sneak into the Brickskeller, possibly before he was of age, and used to enjoy craft beer there. So, in some ways, Bell's and the brewing mindset of Larry Bell is owed to his time as a student in DC.
If we could just get Kevin Bacon in there.
Right, yeah, there you go. But this beer specifically, it turns out the Brickskeller, where I used to work, and way back in the day, used to do an event annually called the Lupulin Slam. And this was a really cool event where they would pit East Coast brewers against West Coast brewers. And everybody would bring either a very special IPA they already made, or hopefully concoct a new IPA for that event. It'd be guys like Tommy Arthur from Port Brewing and Vinny Salerza from Russian River on the West Coast. You'd have Sam Clagione on the East Coast and everything. So in 2004, actually, when I was at the Brickskeller working, Bell's was supposed to come out. And they were bringing a new Imperial IPA created just for that event called Hopslam. Unfortunately, an ice storm in Ohio derailed it. He had to turn back, and so the first kegs of Hopslam were poured at the Eccentric Cafe, which is the Bell's Cafe, rather than in DC. So even though it didn't debut in DC, it was brewed for an event they were supposed to take part of in DC, which is super cool. Then, as luck would have it, in 2007 and 2006, a distributor issue came up in Chicago, so Larry pulled out of Chicago for a short period of time, and with that excess capacity, sent beer to DC and Northern Virginia for the first time. And so then we saw, I think, Hopslam for the first time in 2008 based on that. So really cool that it's been coming to the area for that long and that it was concocted, honestly, for this area in the first place.
What would you pair it with?
I love
can't remember 5 years ago,
I know,
if you can
and
believe
I hope I didn't say the exact same thing.
Someone wants to check.
Yeah. The thing about this beer is that it has some sweetness, It also obviously has bitterness. It's strong and rich on the palate, and lots of great kind of citric, floral, earthy, piney hop flavors that I love with the kind of spicy cilantro herbal notes you get from Mexican food, a lot of Tex-Mex stuff. Carne asada steak, you know, that kind of roasted skirt that's grilled. Pork enchiladas are fantastic with this. You can do fried or fish tacos, can hold up, that fry can stand up, maybe blackened fish tacos. Yeah, it's just dynamite with rich, kind of stick to your ribs Mexican food.
All right, Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, always please be sure to drink responsibly and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.